to help people understand how this mechanism, this earthquake, is going to work. So today what I'm going to do is an abbreviated version of what I do as a normal talk, and we'll go through a little bit about the hazard, because it's the hazard then that then helps us drive to the risk. The risk is being how it affects you. The hazard is going to be the earthquake, but it actually is a little bit more than that. And so we're going to spend just a little bit of time this morning. Not a lot of science, because my normal presentation does have quite a bit of science in it, but this has a little bit less. But I want to set the table for you to understand exactly how this mechanism works. The fact that we know that it's out there, this is what's driving us to do what we do in the preparedness community. So this isn't just something that we think is going to happen. We know this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when that event's going to take place. And we'll try to shed some light on that also as we are doing the presentation this morning. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, so we can get rid of some misconceptions. And then I'm going to deal with, well, I'll call it a controversial issue at the end, but we're going to put one of these preparedness things that you've heard out in the field, we're going to put it to bed because it's a flawed concept. And I'm going to address that a little bit when we get done. So basically, we have earthquakes here in the state. We have a lot of earthquakes in the state. Utah averages around 700 earthquakes a year. Of those 700, you're probably going to see roughly about 13 that are going to be above 3. So those are going to be the ones that you're going to start to feel. I think felt activity is good because it gives you a notion of the fact that we are an earthquake country and that it is a big deal. What you're looking at here up on the screen is a section of the Wasatch Fault. This happens to be in Mapleton. To give you an idea about this trench, this guy right up here is about 6 feet high. The reason I'm showing you this trench is because this sets the table for us to understand how many earthquakes we've had along a portion of the Wasatch Fault. The best way to do that is to go in and trench it. This is an exceptionally large trench. This actually takes us back about 20,000 years in time. So that takes us back to roughly the time that Lake Bonneville was here. Basically what we're looking for is how many earthquakes have we had. We can go back in time, we can see these different earthquakes, and then we can give an idea of how active that particular segment is. And we've done this with all the segments, most all the segments on the Wasatch Fault. So this is what gives us this base knowledge of how these earthquakes have happened in the past. There's never been an earthquake of this magnitude, 7+ magnitude, in recorded time. So this is prior to the pioneers coming in the valley. These events are, but not too long. This event's not that far from that point. So this is what comes out of digging those trenches. Basically, the little starbursts represent where they've identified earthquakes in these trenches. And so we were looking at the Provo segment, and so that would have been this segment here. They're still working on the information that they got from that segment. I'm certain they're going to add a few more earthquakes in the past. But you can see on our scale here from today back in time that our starbursts are roughly about 500 to 600 years in width. It's not like you can see this earthquake. There's a little number there in the trench that tells you that what date it happened on. So there's techniques that we use to figure that out. So we have a spread of time between when we think it happened, past and present. You will look at some of these and say, well, it looks like those happened at the same time. Maybe. That's always a possibility, but I don't think you can deduce that from this because of the amount of air that's in this particular graphic. The two things of noteworthy are these two little earthquakes up here. The reason that they're smaller than the rest is because they were a smaller earthquake. It's still an earthquake large enough to break the surface of the ground, because that's the only ones we can study, are the ones that are surface rupturing events. So that's 6.5 to 7. So these are smaller because we believe those are 6.5. So we see them at one end of the segment, but not at the other end. So that means it's a smaller event. It wasn't big enough to cause the entire segment to rupture. And thus, that's why we have them as smaller. This is interesting because this now has started to close the gap. Originally, the Brigham City segment was the segment we felt was the one that had the longest amount of time from when it originally, from the last time it had an event. That always makes then using time as your criteria the next segment to go. It's not an absolute. So this was our target segment. But now with this earthquake sitting in here, it's diverted our attention to this segment right here with this distance here. Now when you look at those two segments in particular, you're looking at roughly 1,300 years between earthquakes on that given segment. The fault as a whole, which actually runs up to Malad City, Idaho, and then down in the central part of Utah, down near Fayette, down near Gunnison, is where it terminates. But it's the center core here that is the most active, and that's 300 to 400 years. So if you look at the fault in its entirety, every 300 to 400 years we have this 7+ earthquake on it. But if we look at the segment by itself, we're going to see that we're out here, it's about 1,300 years. And if you look at the front end of this, you're going to see that we're kind of falling into that range there for the segment itself. And I think that's where we start to get a little concerned, is that we're closing in on the segment's reoccurrence interval. Now again, it's not like catching the bus. It's not going to be that sharp, but it gives us, we're in the ballpark now for an event on the segment, which is pretty useful now that we can use that. That segment's the most studied. We've created our scenarios off of this segment, and so we can do a lot of work using this particular segment for having the next big earthquake. So a lot of the information that you see coming out of our office is dealing with a 7 magnitude earthquake on this segment because it can cause so many problems for us that the other segments don't necessarily do. But that gives you basically an idea of activity in the center of the fault itself. These segments all work independently of each other, so that's one thing to remember. We can have smaller earthquakes on those as long as they're not fault rupturing. You're not going to see them. We have no record of those, so there could be plenty of those out there. There could be other faults that are at play here. Again, this is primarily looking just at the Wasatch Fault. We know that there's a West Valley Fault system. We know there's the East Great Salt Lake Fault out here. There's several faults in Utah Lake. So there's lots of different sources that we can get earthquake activity from, but we've concentrated on this one because it appears to be the one that's the biggest contributor to these larger events. Okay, there's some tools that we have at play with us that helps us do our jobs. I wanted to show you one of them because it also illustrates this 7 earthquake and how significant it can be. This is called Shake Map. This is a document that's produced by the University of Utah and the USGS immediately after the event. And when I say immediately, I can get one of these in 3 minutes for any earthquake in the United States, pretty much any earthquake in the world. I just monitor the ones in Utah on this particular product. There's another product that comes out we're not going to show you today. It's called Pager, and I can get that one for the very large events worldwide. And those come out within about 20 minutes of the event, and they're very informative. But I like this particular map because it does something for us. It doesn't use magnitude, it uses modified Mercalli. So basically we're looking at a description of the event. So instead of having more science in it, it's in more of a lay fashion. And so you can go to any color here, and as you're going up the scale, you're going from low ground shaking to high ground shaking. You can see the perceived ground shaking. So as you're receiving strong ground shaking, the damage potential is only light. This is what's interesting about this scale, is that when you're in these things, you're going to seem to think things are a lot worse than they are. And that's just because of the nature of the ground shaking and your lack of ever being in an earthquake. So that's, I think, useful to understand that even though you have strong ground shaking where you're actually having to brace yourself to stand up, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lot of damage going on in the built environment. But as you can see, most of the Salt Lake Valley, northern Utah County, southern Davis County are in the warmer colors, so we're looking at severe ground shaking. This is stuff that probably means that you're bracing yourself in a doorway, you're on your hands and knees because you can't stand up. That's the level of ground shaking. The built environment's receiving moderate to high damage from this event. It gives us some science here about peak ground acceleration and velocity. We won't talk too much about that. So this gives you an idea how we perceive this happening. We've studied the soil veneer, and when I say soil veneer, we're looking at the first 100 feet of soil cover on how that responds. So we have a really good, solid idea on how this event's going to happen. These little earthquakes tell us a little bit about the nature of the fault, how it dips. It also gives us an idea how the sediments are going to respond. We've had earthquakes as small as 2.5 out in Magna where people have actually felt those, which I think is pretty amazing, which means I think the soils are fairly responsive to this ground shaking. So it gives us some tools that we can use to help prepare us from the big one when it comes. Okay, to give you an idea now, we've looked a little bit at the hazard. Now we're going to look at the risk. Okay, and the risk is what's going to happen to the buildings and what's going to happen to people as a result of this. So I want to take a few pictures here to illustrate that. I'm going to start out with something that's close to home because I think it's relevant for us to understand that we are in an area where we can have significant damage. This is a picture of Wells's historic district. These are unreinforced masonry buildings, and you're going to say, yeah, those are the older buildings, and we're not really in that same boat as what these buildings are. That's not necessarily true. Salt Lake County by itself has about 65,000 of these types of buildings. The state of California has 25,000. So if you combine the 4 big counties with this building type, you're up around 180,000 URMs. So it is a big problem. This is the building type that will cause most of the deaths. This is the building type that will cause most of the injuries that you'll see in this event. And then there's another one there that we'll talk about too. So this is the before, and this will be the after. And this is pretty classic. I'm going to go back so you can see this. This is pretty classic. So this is all a brick veneer. Well, it's not a brick veneer. This is the strength of the buildings in this brick. So when you start to lose that brick, you're starting to lose the building's ability to stay vertical. So to give you an idea of what's there and what's not there, now what's interesting is that you see this whole section here is peeled off. And that's what's taken off the balcony that was there, or the porch that was there, that falling off onto that. But you can see here that part of the brick is still there. You can see the inside layer of brick is still here, but this final outside cover is not. So a variety of failure in this structure. Probably couldn't take much more. Had it probably not been so close to this building, I have concerns that this building probably would have collapsed in this event. It's just that easy. So what do you do in an earthquake? I mean, what's the thing that you do in an earthquake? And there's a lot of things, and this is what I'm going to drive to for where we're going to stop. If you're in an earthquake, the guideline is to duck and cover. I know you've seen film where people run outside, and that's all fine and dandy, but if you want to die, then run outside. Because the thing that's most likely to cause you physical harm is portions of the building failing as you're trying to exit. So the best thing to do is duck and cover, whether it's under a chair, whether it's under a table, anything to protect your head and shoulders is the thing that you want to do. Getting in a doorway, make sure that you don't have your hands where they can be pinched if the door's open. That's always a struggle. But do those things that are going to put you in a position to survive the event and to be able to get out. Because this is a great illustration of the ability for buildings to fail, especially the older ones. The other thing that causes most of the injuries in an earthquake is the non-structural aspects of the building. So this is a shot from Northridge. This is a ceiling system failure. So you can see the wisdom in being able to duck and cover. The school basically was structurally sound. It was all those components that didn't have anything to do with the structure that basically started to fail. So yeah, you can see the system. Fortunately, the lights stayed up, the heating and air conditioning system stayed up, but I've seen those where they have actually dropped off too and caused a considerable amount of damage. And it also affects your ability to egress the structure after the fact too. So this is the area that I think people discount, but where we see a majority of the problems. Now, when I came in this morning, I noticed that Marilyn had the room set up like there had been an earthquake, and I told her that had this not worked, they could always come downstairs and film my office, which looks an awful lot like this. But I treat it as a geological experiment in motion all the time. So, But you can see where, just simple things, monitors, things on your shelves, stuff like that can come off and cause injury if you're not prepared for it, if it's not tied down. So again, just when you go back to your offices, kind of do an inventory of your surroundings to see where your potential problems are going to come from. That's pretty useful. In fact, we were discussing this morning upstairs in our PIO's office, and I made comment about how nice it was that the shelves had bungee cords on them. Trouble is that they're not attached to anything, and when the earthquake hits, they'll fall over, and he won't be able to get out of his office. But outside of that, those bungees look really good on his shelf. So. Okay, so closing, I wanted to come to the triangle of life. How many of you heard of the triangle of life? Okay, we're going to put to bed the triangle of life because it's a terribly bad concept, and if you were to follow this concept, you would put yourself in grave danger. The concept behind the triangle of life is that the first premise is that imminent collapse is what's going to happen. The buildings are going to fall down. They are going to collapse. That's the first assumption that the guy uses. So with that in mind, instead of ducking and covering under a table where he believes that when the building collapses, it'll crush that table or desk and then you will be crushed underneath it. So we're going to go about showing you how that isn't necessarily going to work. The body of study is dealing with third world countries, Pakistan, Middle East, places where there are building codes, but the bulk of the construction is not engineered. And so, quite frankly, it's like a house of cards, much like what you saw in Haiti, very much so like what you see in Haiti. And I'd be inclined to probably want to run out of one of those buildings myself, just because you know that they're inherently going to fall down. But we're in a country where, first of all, there's a well-established building code. You have building code enforcement. You have quality of construction, quality of workmanship, all at play, where you don't get this. You have places in the Middle East where if a building fails, they haul the engineer out and they shoot him, which might not be a bad idea, but that's not going to happen here. Because of the nature of how we build things, collapse is actually rare rather than imminent. Now, let's look back at the fact that we saw some non-structural damage. He totally disregards this concept. So while you are laying on the floor next to your desk, waiting for that imminent collapse, then everything in the room that's not tied down becomes a weapon at you. And so you're being pummeled by the contents of the room while you're waiting for this off chance that the building's going to fail, and you might not get crushed in that. So the standard is always going to be the same: duck, cover, and hold. This is what every responsible agency that I've dealt with for the 20 years that I've been here still adhere to. That would be FEMA, that would be the Red Cross, that would be the Structural Engineers Association of Utah, Structural Engineers Association of California. Anybody that knows anything about construction believes that duck and cover is the single best way to protect yourself after this event. So do yourself a favor, and when you read something on the internet, it's not always true. And to not spread, if in doubt, when you hear something, give us a call. Because a lot of times I've seen school districts that have changed their policy based on reading this without anything coming from the district office, from the state office of education, from our office. So the best thing to do is when you hear something that sounds kind of possible, run it past somebody that really knows what's going on in the industry, whether it's an engineer, whether it's a geologist, whether it's an emergency manager, and we should be able to find the answer for you. With that, are there any questions? Very good, thank you, and I'm done.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Marilyn, and I'm also known as the Earthquake Lady. It says so on my business card. I was given that name 13 years by the Red Hills Middle School in Richfield, Utah. I travel all over the state giving preparedness presentations for schools, colleges, all types of businesses, senior daycare centers, hospitals, fire departments, churches, you name it. I've been there, and every year I go down to Richfield and they always announce the earthquake lady's coming, so that's who I really am. I started working for the Department of Public Safety, Division of Homeland Security, 15 years as a secretary. In order to graduate, we had to take classes, and during one of the classes, stand up and talk about any disasters, tornadoes, flood, earthquake. Me being the new girl on the block at that time, I did not know what to talk about. I didn't know what the office was all about. I didn't know everybody in the office, and I did not know what preparedness was. Serious. I do have Band-Aids, peroxide in the medicine cabinet. I do have food storage, water storage, but I did not have emergency kits put together like you see a few up here. By watching videos, listening to people's experience with disasters, and we see it on the news all the time. Back east, they have their high wind, flood, tornadoes, our foreign countries, tsunamis, major earthquakes, California with all their earthquakes. The states all around Utah has their wildfires. Where Utah, we do not have tornadoes. We do not have earthquakes. And we do not have power outages. You're listening, you're listening. To my knowledge, I thought Utah had 6 tornado touchdowns. I was told we have had more. Expect tornadoes in the future in our state. There will be a warning if a tornado will touch down. So you will have time to prep and take cover. Earthquakes, there is no warning, but we can be prepared before an earthquake occurs, know what to do during an earthquake, and things what we need to do after an earthquake. And that's why I'm here today, to remind you what to do when the ground starts shaking like this way, any which way. It is suggested not to panic and run out of a building. Gravity will greet you. You have chimney bricks, roof tiles, windows above could shatter and fall as you're leaving, entering a building. Stay where you are, take cover. I will tell you the safe areas, whether you're home, at work, any type of building, how to protect yourself. And if you happen to be at a grocery store, yes, this will protect you. Not this one, the bigger one. Okay, and what to do if you are driving and you see the road do this thing. Utah is vulnerable. People do not know what to do. They panic, and what do? They run. That is what you do not want to do. Stay where you are, take cover. How many of you experienced an earthquake? Quite a few of you, so you know what it has done, what it will do. No matter how severe, how mild the shaking is, it's frightening. We are not used to the floor moving, the walls, chandeliers swaying, things falling. You'll get an upset stomach, and you'll definitely feel dizzy. That is why it is suggested to stay where you are, squat down, and cover your head. Especially in public buildings, you have ceiling tiles, light fixtures will definitely fall and hurt you. How many of you carry a Band-Aid in your purse or wallet? Good, wonderful. The rest of you can bleed. That's how ready I was. I did not carry a Band-Aid in my purse, and I do now. I will tell you at the end of the presentation why I'm asking you this question. The safe areas, whether you're home, at work, any type of building, your inside solid wall, solid corner is a safe place to take cover. Your outside window walls are weak, they may collapse. If you are in an area with windows, turn your back towards the glass. Let that glass shatter this way, not this way. So as you move about throughout the day at your place of business, think to yourself, talk to your colleagues, what you would do if you're in certain areas in case the ground starts shaking. Doorway is a safe place to take cover. You can brace yourself in a door frame like this, any which way, to keep yourself in that door frame. Watch the door itself so it does not slam, hit you in the face, pinch your fingers. Bathroom, closets, hallways are safe areas to take cover. Watch the public hallways. They usually have heavy hanging framed pictures, statues, plants, glass showcase windows. Watch so those things do not shatter, fall onto you in the public hallways. At home, most hallways are located in the center part of the home, so you, your family, can quickly take cover in that hallway. Go in each room and talk about what the safe areas are. Mom can be in the kitchen cooking, Dad's outside, the kids are watching TV, and we're getting hit with this major earthquake. You can't even get to one another. That's how severe the shaking could be. So talk about the safe areas in each room. If you are in the basement, stay in the basement. Don't panic and run up those stairs. Go to the center part of the basement and take cover. Stairs are weak, they may collapse. Of course, Mom and Dad will make that mad dash up those stairs to go to baby and the kids. Check your basement windows. Make sure they open and close easily, because you may have to get out of the basement, out the window, because the stairs are damaged. In the early days, they said you can get under beds. Today we say no, because you cannot see what's going on around. Things could fall and pin you underneath the bed. So talk about these things. The more you do, the more you will remember when the real thing does happen. We do not talk about preparedness and emergency kits every day. We worry about what we're going to fix for dinner, what we're going to wear. So the more you talk about emergency preparedness with your family, you will be better prepared. Don't go near fireplaces. Brick, rock will loosen and hurt you. Most fireplaces are located on the outside window wall, so you know not to go near that area. My fireplace is located in the center part of my home, so I know not to go near that area. So be aware of your surroundings. I'll also show you things, what I've done for my home to keep from financial hardship, injuries, and death. It's not so much the structure of your home, it's the contents that fall and hurt people. So I'll show you things, what I've done to keep from a lot of injuries. If you are outside, stay outside. Stay away from overhead wires, trees, buildings, fences, light poles. Get out in the open and take cover. Afterwards, the kids can yell, "Mom, Dad, I'm out here." They'll let the kids know if it's safe to come back into the house. If you happen to be at the store, you're walking down the aisle shopping, and all of a sudden the floor's doing this and you can barely stand up. To keep that can of tomato soup from hitting you in the head, you can squat down, put your head under the basket. If you have others with you, all of you squat down, put your head under the basket. You can also tilt the basket, shove everything out, put your head inside. Especially if you have small children, babies with you, brace them underneath you, and that way things are falling and it won't hurt you and the baby. If you're carrying one of those hand baskets with the handle, dump those eggs, squat down, put it over your head. Don't worry about those eggs. You bet this will protect you in a store. Next time you go shopping, you can practice. What? People just walk by and go, "What are you doing?" Just say, "I'm practicing for an earthquake. Will you help me up, please?" Don't dump the eggs though, because you will have to pay for them. Do not panic and run through the store to get out, because all of you will think of the same thing at the same time. You're going to meet at the door, kicking, screaming, crying, fighting, trying to get through this crowd of people. The door could be jammed, power's out, and not only that, the big picture window in front of the store could shatter and hurt you. So you do not want to be near that area. Stay where you are, take cover. And if you happen to be in a real bad aisle, it's throwing canned goods, bottles, boxes at you, get out of that aisle, go to the end, keep an eye out so things do not hurt you. If it happens while you're shopping, I hope you're in the tissue aisle at least. How many of you shop Sam's Club, Costco, the warehouse stores? We all do. I did a presentation for Costco years ago, and my question to them, those shelves, are they secured? Oh no, they don't need to be because the crates above are weighing them down. I did not like that answer. I didn't say anything, but I think it showed on my face. To my thinking, to your thinking, the floor's moving, the walls are moving, and so are those shelves. They're going to be like dominoes, and they will fall. I don't care how heavy, their way down the floor is moving. Get out of that aisle, leave your cart, your basket, and get away from harm's way. I've had people ask if they could crawl underneath those heavy metal shelves. I say no, because they're so jam-packed full with merchandise, you do not have time to yank out a couple boxes to get underneath. Things above are falling right now. So get out of harm's way, protect yourself. Sam's Club, Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's, those warehouse stores have those shelves secured now. They're going to protect their customers. The safest area in warehouse stores is the center part of the warehouse. They don't have things on high shelves. They have things on lower shelves, tables, on the floor. So if you can quickly, safely move to the center part of the warehouse, you will be safe there. Watch your surroundings. You're standing right by those plasma screen TVs. We're having this earthquake, things are falling, people are scrambling around. In the meantime, a screen could fall and hurt you. So be aware of your surroundings no matter where you are. And again, you would not want to panic and run through that warehouse to get out, because by the time you get to the door, it's over with. In the meantime, you could get hurt. Stay where you are, take cover. Do a hazard hunt. Go through your area, your facility, and see what you can do to keep things from falling. We're guilty in our own office. I see things that could fall. And if you come visit us, notice that I'm the only one with rubber grip liner in my office. I am not going to let those binders come out into my face. So just safe-proof your place of business. Keep from injuries. If you are driving and you see the road do this, quickly, safely, if you can, pull off the roadway, park the car, turn off the engine, stay in the vehicle. You're on tires, you're on shocks, you will be okay. Try to stay away from wires, trees, buildings if you can. After the shaking, check the road, make sure there's no downed wires, debris, and go ahead and proceed. But I guarantee, when Salt Lake City gets hit with this big one, you will not get very far on the side street, highway, especially the freeway. The freeway will become a parking lot. Do not, I repeat, do not abandon your vehicle. They ask not to leave your vehicle because you will contribute to blocking the freeway. And who they are is UDOT, Utah Department of Transportation. You know, on the freeway, there's cameras all over. They are watching you. So don't leave your vehicle. I know you're on your cell phone, you can't get through to your family. We just got hit with this major earthquake and you're just sitting there. Be patient. UDOT Highway Patrol will get these cars moving, but it will take a long time. Just be patient. Now, if you are on a side street, a highway, and you are able to get off the roadway, park your vehicle and start walking home, do it. I would, because you'll be sitting there for a long time. So just get off the roadway, start walking. The freeway is a different story. There's nowhere to pull over. They ask not to pull over into the emergency lanes because they need the lanes open for emergency vehicles to go back and forth. So be patient. UDOT Highway Patrol will get these cars moving, but it may take hours, hours, hours. That is why it is important all of you have a good emergency car kit in your vehicle. My car kit is a Black & Decker toolbox on wheels. Be creative, make your own. It breaks down into 2 halves to put the 2 in the trunk of your vehicle. How many of you have a box of tissues in your vehicle right now? Good. The rest of you can wipe your nose on your sleeves. How many of you have an umbrella in your vehicle? Wonderful. These items are good to have in your vehicle. There's also 4 other items you should have in your vehicle waiting for you out in the parking lot, and you know I'm going to say flashlight. I suggest 2. What if the only flashlight you have in your vehicle, oh, darn it, I forgot to update the battery. Well, here you have a backup. And I suggest the crank flashlight because it doesn't require batteries for one thing, and it'll work for you whenever you need it. And there's all types of flashlights out there, battery operated, big ones, little ones, expensive ones, cheap ones. And there's the shake flashlights. And then I like the crank because it's going to work for me. And once I crank this, you will hear how loud the radio works. So that's me in the morning. So, and every Christmas, I give my kids, grandkids, other relatives, friends, something to add to their emergency kits. And one year, I gave 2 per vehicle in the household and then 1 for each room. So if one doesn't work, the other will. And also batteries, so they loved it. So even the kids, I tell them, if you play with the flashlight, make sure you put it back so you'll have it when you do need it. Then, living in Utah, it would be nice if everybody had a shovel in their vehicle. Your folding shovels are nice because they do not take that much room. You can purchase these at any emergency stores, sports stores, any regular stores, and you can tighten the handle to dig your way out of snow, mud, dirt, sand. You can dig this way, and if you're stranded and you need to make fire, there's rough edges here to chop twigs up to start a fire. One year, I gave everybody a shovel for their vehicles. In fact, I'm built in everybody's kits. That's okay, because here and here, I know they have these items with them. So for Christmas, give somebody your family something to add to their emergency kits. However many people travel in your vehicle, have 3 jackets or 3 blankets. You can have wool blankets, flannel blankets, fleece blankets, or you can have an emergency blanket, space blanket, solar blanket, Mylar blanket. This blanket has so many names to it. It's the same material. Your firefighters use this material. Your astronauts use this material. What does it look like? Tin foil, aluminum foil. It's stronger than tin foil. It will eventually wear and tear, but you can use this over and over. You know, it never fails. We always hear about stranded overnight snowmobilers. Well, one snowmobiler did have one of these with him. Good on him. $1.99 kept him warm. $1.99 saved his life. You can go outside during the coldest winter day without a coat on, wrap yourself up inside this, and you will start sweating because your body heat stays inside this Mylar material. And so put a stocking stuffer, great for stocking stuffer. I suggest mom with babies put an emergency blanket in the baby diaper bag. That does not mean to have a separate emergency baby diaper bag. No, mom, dad, put emergency items in that bag baby uses every day, all day. Also put emergency blankets in your kits, children's kits, even for the house pets. They are part of the family too. So you want to make an emergency kit for the house pets, because if you get a knock at the door, you and your family need to leave your home because of gas leak, fire, chemical spill, any reason. You take your pets with you, and then you need to have a plan for your house pets. So from this point home, this point shelter, if you're asked to go to an American Red Cross shelter, a church, a school, then somewhere in between, you need to drop your pets off. Maybe you have relatives, friends, maybe you can stay there with your pets, but have that plan. There's also hotels, motels that accommodate house pets, and animal shelters. So do have that plan intact for your pets. And I have information out on the display tables about making pet kits. They are part of the family too. And the 4th item I carry in my vehicle is water. As long as the store-bought bottled water is available, this is what I carry. Check the expiration date. 1, 2, 3 years shelf life. This is even great for home stored emergency water. And you know they're always on sale, so as you buy new, put the new in the back and drink the old. So water is good, even under your desk. I have 2 cases under my desk because we need water always. And keep an eye on your vehicle water. The winter cold, there's not enough freeze expansion to allow the water to expand, and it'll split the plastic. Especially the extreme summer heat, you do not want your water to get hot for a long period of time. It'll create bacteria and your water will become contaminated. So what I've done to protect my water, and I know this works because I've tested this over the years, you can get an emergency blanket, put the case, 1 case at a time, in the center part of the blanket and wrap it. And put it under, mine are located underneath the floor in the van. And that way the Mylar material is protecting from the cold and the heat. Once in a while, every 6 months, I would check and see if the water is hot. And it's just neutral, it does not get extremely hot. So the Mylar material is a good protector for your water. Also, you can get, how about your first aid kit in your car, your ointments, Band-Aids, tapes, shampoos, lotions will melt during the extreme summer heat. So you can get containers that's lined with the Mylar material to protect those items. So protect your emergency kits. And this only cost $1 at the dollar store, so it does not cost a lot to prepare. You're looking at all these different kits and you're thinking, gosh, how can I afford these things, especially with our recession going on and people need their money in better use than buy things for their kits. So it does not cost a lot to create your kits. We're all different. We all require our own needs. For instance, my office kit, I wear high heels, I have flat shoes under my desk, I even have nail glue. If I break a nail, that's a disaster to me. So I have the things here that will provide me. So create your kits that will provide you. We're all different. Every member of the household should have their own emergency kits. Children, baby diaper bag, house pets, you have one for home, your vehicle, and for your place of business. So have kits everywhere because you never know where you will be, what you will be doing when we do have this big one. You'll have things that will provide you wherever you're at. And try not to store any of your emergency kits in the basement of your home because you may not be able to get to your emergency kits. Store on the main level, closet, garage. If you have a camper, RV, trailer, that's even better. But protect your items with the Mylar material so it does not melt on you. You can even purchase coolers that are lined with the Mylar material to keep the heat from hurting your kit. So there's so many ways you can protect your kit. Okay, adults, children, and put stress relief items in the kits. For instance, the children's emergency kit, coloring books, coloring crayons, reading books, things to write with, because if you're asked to leave your home and go to an American Red Cross shelter, the kids are away from home, they're away from their environment, they're tired, they're cranky, and so they have things that will entertain them till you can go home. Same with adults. You can put music, playing cards, search word games in your emergency kit. And same with your house pets. Have balls or their favorite toy they like to play with. So even the pets need to be entertained. So you can see how simple it is to create your own kits. The pet board over here, everything you see on the board except the dog and the emergency blanket cost $1. $1. The leash, the collars, the drinking bowls, things like that, $1. So you can see how simple it is to create your own kits. Okay, and then the information you're receiving out on the display table is a list what to add to your already emergency kits. And then on the back for your vehicle. Looks like a lot, but it's not. They're small things. And then Port-A-Potty. This is an important kit to have on hand. After a major earthquake, our water system is down. We can't drink water from the fountain or the faucet, and we cannot use the toilet. So here's your backup. I have toilet tissues, And I have the machine, the food saver that sucks all the air. I took the cardboard from the center and sucked all the air out so it'll protect the paperwork, keeps it from drying out and getting wet. If you do not have the machine, put your toilet rolls in a Ziploc bag and seal it, and that way it'll protect your rolls. And then I have hand wipes, sprays, paper towels, lots of plastic garbage bags, and 1 2-liter bottle with kitty litter in it. What you would do, of course, take everything out of the bucket and line the bucket with the plastic, sprinkle a little bit of kitty litter, not the whole bottle, just a little bit. After 2, 3 use, take the old bag out of the bucket, throw it in the regular garbage can, start all over. This is a quick, simple kit to have. And the reason why I put it in a liter bottle, because this just slides right down inside and it does not take that much room. I've had people ask if they could use this method with the real toilet if the water system is down. No. Because if you get 1 ounce of kitty litter in your plumbing, you will run into major problems. So do not use this method with the real toilet. And just get a bucket. In fact, one Christmas I made 12 Port-A-Potties. I brought them all up from the basement, lined them up like soldiers in the living room, put the lid up. It was saluting to everybody, and I had the camcorder. And everybody's like, what are those? I said, that's your backup. So I explained, and now they like it. You know, our children will not make things like this. So it's up to us to give them as gifts. So here you go, folks. Birthdays, Christmas, make somebody you love a Port-A-Potty, and make sure you have the camcorder. All right, and then you'll also get a list. Evacuation. You know, when we had the Draper fire, I turned on the news, and they were interviewing one of the residents there, and she said, you know, when I received that knock at the door that I had to leave my home because of the fire, my brain went totally blank. I did not know what to grab first. So it made me think to make a simple evacuation list for you to help you think and remember, because once you are asked to leave your home, you cannot go back till they say you can. So how this works, on the top it'll say indicate where all the following listed items are located in the house. For instance, your emergency backpack, front door closet. Your medication, upstairs bathroom. Check mark as you're grabbing these things, and that way you're not forgetting your pets. And at the bottom, it'll remind you to shut the air condition, the heat off, lock your doors, take your pets, and you're out of there. Okay, so this is a helpful list. And I put this list on the back of your out-of-state emergency contact person. Be creative, make your own, and at the end of the display table where it says Be Ready Utah, I have the Be Ready Utah contact cards where you can fill it out, cut it, fold it, put it in your wallet, your purse, and have this information with you. And then every member of the household should know about this list. This is an important piece of paper. So you can have it on the refrigerator, in your purses, ladies. Have this handy. Okay, and then don't forget your important documents. Have a plan for your documents. Everything you should know about preparedness and your pets, this will also be helpful. And then this is a very well put together information about earthquakes here in our state. We have it in the newspaper stock or the book, and they're both out on the display tables. It gives you fault maps, liquefaction. It'll talk about your kits, safe-proofing your home, your place of business. Also on the back it'll give you other online resources to refer to about preparedness. So this is a very good book, and read it, talk to your family about these things, okay? So try not to put your kits in the basement of your home. Store where it's easy to access. I suggest to the school students to put theirs underneath their bed with the handle out so they can reach under and grab it. And then, or in their closet. So make it easy. And let the older siblings take care of the younger siblings while mom and dad are taking care of business throughout the house, the baby, the house pets. So let the kids in on this preparedness planning. Okay, another item is important, food bucket. And I like the, you can get the bucket anywhere, and it comes with this lid. Then you have to buy this tool to pry off the lid. The more you pry, the more it'll lose its seal. So they've come out with the Gamma Seal lids that screw on and off as many times as you want. It has the ring, use a mallet, the rubber hammer to pound the ring on the bucket, and then this comes off and on as many times. My food bucket is stored out in the garage along with my kits, sleeping bags, lanterns, all my emergency things are out in the garage. And mice, spiders, bugs, dirt is not getting inside my food bucket. Pack foods that do not require cooking. And if you, mom with babies, do need to warm the water for their formula, so you can put a can of sterno in your food bucket. Of course, there's all types of small little stoves out there. See what works best for you. Get a piece of plumber tape. This is the tape they used to use to secure water heaters. They don't want you to use this anymore, but it is good to make an air vent for your can stoves. Once you put the pan on top, you have that air vent. If you don't have this, you put your pan here, it'll put the fire out. So have your little air vent right here. And after you're done using the sternal, put your, after it's cooled off, put your can in a plastic bag before you store it back in the bucket, so it does not, the chemicals do not contaminate the food that's still in the bucket. And you can put canned meats, tuna, Spam, Vienna sausages, potted meat, and crackers, cheeses, trail mixes. So be creative, pack the foods especially for the children. Don't pack unusual things, pack what they favor. Because if you are at a shelter in place, they're away from home, they're cranky, they're tired. This is food to provide them right now till other food becomes available. And if you don't want to do the food bucket, you can also get the Mylar bags that you can get at your local grocery stores. They're not expensive at all, $1.67. $2. And what these are for, a lot of people will buy these because they know they're not going to go straight home after shopping. They have to make a couple stops. So what they'll do is get this, put their meat, cheese, ice cream, whatever's cold stays cold, whatever's hot stays hot. So have a couple of these handy in your food storage or closet. If you get that knock at the door, you need to leave your home, go to the refrigerator, put the milk, bologna, cheese, bread, cookies, and take it with you. This is food that will provide you right now till other food is available. And then to keep my food bucket updated, I just made a list and I put the expiration date. So I can see the tuna is ready to expire. I'll take the tuna out, use it in the house, and put new. So how simple can that be? You can do it. And we cannot put our kitchen pots and pans in the bucket. So I suggest to get a mess kit. Take it out of the box. The box will take too much room, and put it in a plastic bag. That way it does not take that much room in your bucket. So, and then I also lined my bucket with the Mylar bag, because this is stored out in the garage. It gets warm out there. The extreme summer heat and the cold is not going to hurt the food that I have in my bucket. So this really does work. And then also a lot of your canned goods come with the flip top lid. Some don't. So make sure you put a can opener in your bucket, okay? All right. You do not want any of your kits to go rotten. By the way, this was a real banana. One of our favorite co-workers in our office found this in one of the state vehicles, not mine. And he put it on my desk because he knew I would put this to use. This is to remind you not to let any of your kits go rotten. You keep a calendar, you keep track of paydays, what bills to pay, holidays, birthday. Mark a date to take all the batteries out of your kits, use them in the house, put new. Mark another date, update your water storage, your food bucket, and let the children's emergency kits grow with them. Keep track. The month of April is Earthquake Month. Every school in the state of Utah should have their earthquake drills. And I tell the students to take their learning home and teach parents, siblings, grandparents the drop, cover, hold method. I tell them, you will be saving your family's lives. Let them feel important with this preparedness. And then September is National Preparedness Month. We have daylight savings, general conference, your birthday. Let these special dates be a reminder to update your emergency kits. So, if I get a knock at the door, I need to leave home, I'm going to grab my emergency kit, I'm going to get my pet, I'm going to take my Port-A-Potty, believe it or not, with me, because you don't know wherever your destination is, it may not work there. So you have it with you. And my food bucket and water with me. It seems like a lot, but it really isn't. Okay, and you can see throughout the room what could happen in the event of an earthquake. And so I'm going to demonstrate an earthquake with this house model. It's your home, your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen. This could be an office conference room, a library. This is a cafeteria, grocery store, our school class room. And the sound you will hear is the real sound of a California earthquake. Visualize what could happen to your home, place of business. After I'm done, I will show you a few things, what I've done for my home to keep from financial hardship, injuries, and death. So visualize your home. To let a few seconds destroy what I worked hard for all my life. And that's all it's going to take is a few seconds to do this. My grandfather clock is not going to do this. My water heater, if I can see it, is not going to end up like this. This should be #1 homework in every household. Make sure your water heater is secured. When I purchased my home, it's an older home, the water heater was not secured. I purchased mine at a hardware store, and it has everything in this kit to secure your water heater. They ask to use the heavy metal strap to secure your water heater. In the early days, they used to use the plumber tape, but now they say no. So if your water heater is secured with the plumber tape, you can leave it there, but replace it over the plumber tape with this, or take it off, remove it. But make sure you have the heavy metal strap. To keep this from happening, I did things throughout my home. I secured furniture to the wall with different size L-shaped brackets, and you see these items on this board that you can purchase at your local hardware store. Your bracket needs to go into the stud of the wall, so it may not be corner to corner. Find that stud, there it is. Usually every 16 inches you'll find the next stud. 16 inches, next stud. Now, this does not mean to have bracket, 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 bracket. No, just find that first stud, measure along, and then that's where the other bracket will go. A lot of people will secure this way and paint the bracket the same color as the wall so it does not show. You can also do it this way. It will take a little time to secure it this way. There'll be a gap between the wall and your furniture, just like this. And some folks will do it like this. And with china cabinets, they'll use hollow wall anchors to put through the back of the china cabinet out into the stud, because you don't move your china cabinet at all. And that way it'll keep furniture from falling. So go in each room at home and talk about what pieces of furniture you can keep from falling. The contents inside the shelves do not need to fall. You can get rubber grip liner at any stores. Even the dollar stores has these, and the bargain stores. Comes in different sizes, texture, color, and it comes clear for your china cabinet, so it does not show in the china cabinet. Every shelf in my home is lined with rubber grip liner. Even my office is. I put strips of this in between plates and bowls to keep them from sliding. Put your TV, stereo, microwave, computer on top of this. And if your microwave is just on the kitchen counter, you do not need the whole sheet under there. There's a gap between the microwave and the counter, and this will show and look ugly. So cut little squares to put under the feet of the microwave, and I guarantee it's not going anywhere. You can also put this underneath lamps, plants, knickknacks, pottery, fish bowls, bird cages. You can glue it or just have it underneath to keep things from sliding. Now, this does not guarantee things won't fall. It just guarantees things won't slide and fall. So rubber grip is one good item to safe-proof your home. Your shelves out in the garage, your food storage shelves, every type of shelf in your home should be secured. Children's toy shelves, bookshelves, so safe-proof your home. Earth shaking could be any which way, in shape or form. It could hurt you. Furniture can come right at you just like that, and you won't know what hit you. You can use bungee cords, wood strip. You can turn the shelves upside down because it has that little lip, wire, rope, any which way to keep things from falling. And if you put up mason jars with fruit and vegetables, put cardboard strips in between those jars to keep from clanging into each other. Okay, and then Pictures, I locked my photo pictures onto the wall with safety hanger. What it is, it's a hook with a clamp. And just the bigger heavy frame pictures I use this for. So once you put your hook, your wire down into this hook, the clamp locks your pictures onto the wall. To release it, put your hand up the back, pinch that clamp towards the wall, it'll release your pictures. Now if you just have the plain hook, put your hand and pinch that hook in as much as you can into the wall. It'll help prevent pictures from falling from the earth shaking. Now to keep pictures from doing this on the wall, I got Velcro. There's the rough, soft tape on the back. Put it together, cut what you need, stick it, stick it, stick it. Take the tape off, bring your pictures in, press it to the wall. That way it won't dance. And Velcro is also good for mini blinds, especially for children, babies' rooms. There's a bar underneath the blind. Put a piece on each end. Take that bottom tape off, press it to the windowsill, and that way when the ground is shaking, the house, the windows, the shade's doing this, not this. And if that glass shatters, it'll stay behind the closed mini blind. And I know it works because a baseball came through my closed mini blind. It brought a little bit of glass with the ball, but the rest of the shattered glass stayed behind the closed mini blind. So it does work. Children, babies' room. Not even Martha Stewart thought of this. This is my idea. So, yeah. Take those heavy glass bowls off the top shelf, put them low, put the plastic above. Safe-proof your home as much as you can. We cannot be 100% prepared, but we can be prepared as much as we can. Don't have the fear of what an earthquake could do. Have the knowledge what you're going to do before this happens. In fact, I'm waiting for this earthquake. I want to see if everything's going to work in my house. Try to put all your emergency items in one area if you can. So reorganize so you can easily get to your emergency kits. Remember when I asked you if you had a Band-Aid in your purse or wallet? A gentleman approached me after a presentation and he said, "You know, Marilyn, I wished I had a Band-Aid in my wallet at work. I cut my hand wide open, it was bleeding all over. I just needed a Band-Aid to butterfly it closed till I could get to first aid." And what he had with him, if I can find it, was good old duct tape, which worked. It stopped the bleeding. But when it was time to off his owie, he did not say happy words. So let a Band-Aid be a reminder. Everything you purchase at the store has an expiration date. Band-Aids get old, first aid ointments, shampoos, lotions, clothing, food, water. Read your information. Go into the Be Ready Utah information and you'll learn some more there. Now, a few of you can have Band-Aids in your purse or wallet. Thank you, everybody. Good luck in preparing. Thank you. Thank you.